Guys, what's up? So, how's everyone doing? We had a card last night. A little bit of a late start to my morning. 7 a.m. here Friday morning. First live stream of the day. I was up late last night. I'm usually in bed by 9 p.m. at the latest. And we had the Australian card in Brisbane I want to get to. We hit long parlay, locked in, got a dub. It paid $224. So 100 on it would have got you your money back plus 124. Guys, we doubled our money. A typical Australian feeder card. This is what we can expect in Australia. I'm mates with a couple guys online who promote Australian boxing. They don't bet. They don't break down fights. They just promote Australian boxing. And they hate No Limit. They hate No Limit cards because all of the fights in their eyes are set up and predictable. But on my end, as a guy who breaks tape down, who runs a Discord for professional bettors and gamblers, I love Australian cards. I have to be somewhere at like 95% in terms of money line. You'll have your upsets, but rarely, right? And then usually the upsets come down to a 50-50 domestic dust-up, in which it really comes down to if you know anybody in either camp. And I'm fortunate enough to live down here, which I could just send a couple messages out, and I do. So, yeah, before we get into that, I want you guys to, as you tap in, hit the thumbs up button. Make sure you hit subscribe. Also, the link is pinned in the comment section below. As you see in the chat, you'll see the boys with the stars. Whatever color star, that means they're Johnny Says Boxing Insiders. They're VIPs. They have access to our Discord. The Discord is 2 months old. Our Discord turned 2 months today. We're already nearing 230 VIPs in there, so it's awesome. It's a fun community. We stream the boxing matches live in there, but more importantly, you get to connect with professional bettors. It's a 24-hour sort of flow, so you don't need me to moderate. I moderate, but you don't need me to be there. And, people are sharing their parlays. I have my own channel for betting picks that you have access to. American football is in there, MMA, UFC, but the bread and butter is boxing. So if you hit on Australia, let's go. Regarding a term of investment, whenever you could double your money, come on, dude. So we doubled it plus a little change, 224. I got to be honest with you. I expect of the two Liams, Liam Paro and Liam Wilson, I thought Liam Wilson was going to be the one to struggle. Based off of what we had seen prior, I thought that Liam Wilson struggled a bit with Jimenez. I thought Liam Wilson against Jimenez was going to be sort of like what we were going to see. Now, look, anytime, I was saying this last night during the fights, I hate betting on Liam Wilson. I'm not saying I don't, and I'm not saying I don't win. But every time I bet on Liam Wilson, I'm watching the fight stress the hell out. I don't know one other fighter that currently that is active that stresses me out and frustrates me more than Liam Wilson. Jesus, it seems like all Liam Wilson knows how to do is go life and death with world champions and life and death with club level guys. There's no in between. So Liam Wilson, you're watching him fight, and he could be a 5-1 favorite, and he's fighting like he's going to get knocked out. And you're just like, God damn it. But he won by knockout. It was Liam Paro who kind of had a really tough fight. Really tough fight. Really tough fight. He jumped out to a nice little lead. But the Frenchie, man, hats off to David Papo. He was way craftier than I expected. He was way tougher than I expected. And I don't think Liam Paro expected Papo to talk that much shit. And I know you can't, I know you guys come to this channel for a technical approach, a logical approach. You get my reasoning, and I'm as authentic as I could humanly possibly be. So what you get here is, and what you see on my breakdown videos is exactly who I am in person. So the people who know me in person can attest to that. What I mean by I don't think Liam Paro knew, I think Liam Paro was kind of shocked by how much shit David Papo was talking. I'm talking body language. Papo, you know what he did have? He had a great poker face. So if you didn't watch the fight, Liam Paro won by decision. I initially scored at 7-5. I rewatched it this morning, 8-4. It's just that the physical damage, there were 2 or 3 huge shots that Papo landed. And other than that, he was scoring, but he wasn't doing enough. His volume went way down after the 8th or 9th round. He totally visibly changed after the 8th or 9th round. And I don't know, he either has an amazing poker face, because he was cut up a little bit, but he just stopped punching. And I know he had a brutal weight cut. We saw that. He missed weight, and then they gave him an extra couple hours to make weight. And that's why I felt like Paro was going to stop him. And I said that Paro was going to stop him late. And don't get me wrong. It's one of those decision wins that some fights going into the 12th, if you picked a stoppage on a separate parlay, you kind of know by the 9th that no one's going to get stopped. This one, still up until a minute left in the 12th, you kind of was like, oh, shit. You know, both guys could get stopped. But Paro outboxed him. It's just that he had a massive... He got caught with such a massive shot early. I think the 3rd round. Early. Right here. Swelled up his eye. And this was like really, really real adversity that he had to overcome. And you could see Paro's corner stressing out. Paro was kind of freaking out right when it happened. He had to grab. He had to survive. And which he eventually did. He ended, like I said, he went the distance. But he fought the entire fight basically with one eye. And hats off to Papo. Yeah, by no means was it a robbery. The bigger shots, though, in terms of physical damage, were landed by Papo. I think Liam was hurting him, and Papo just had a good poker face. Either Liam was hurting him, which is why he stopped punching in the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, or he just ran out of gas and was just surviving. It could have. It's kind of 50-50 if you rewatch it. It could have been either way, because Papo stopped. You know, Paro landed a couple huge body shots, and that's something about his game I wish he would have done more. It's something about Liam Paro's game I always say is, damn, I wish Paro would just work the body more. He got caught headhunting. You could tell he got frustrated. You could tell Papo was getting under his skin, and that's when you started seeing Papo's classiness, his veteran sort of savvy in the ring. Part of the thing about being a veteran, especially as an underdog in a fight, is knowing how to get under your opponent's skin. Obviously, you got to win some exchanges, which he did. As soon as Papo's whole energy shifted when he hurt Liam, when he saw the eye. From there, Papo went straight into sort of psychological bully mode, and it was affecting Liam. Every time they would clinch up, you know, Liam would try to hit in the back of the head. His body language was way more intense, and Papo was just relaxed, smooth. I was actually impressed. He looked way bigger, and you could tell that he was. I told you guys in my breakdown, Papo had fights at 160 pounds. This was Paro's first fight at 47. Does it take anything away from Liam Paro, in my opinion, of who I thought he was going into the fight? No. No, not at all. If anything, we could see that Paro could go into some really deep, dark waters mentally and physically and still win a decision. Not a lot of guys could do that. As a bettor, because that was the last fight and I had hit all the other fights, the eye was so intense that I was worried that in the 3rd, through gradual damage, that they were going to stop it. But the corner did a good job. Liam Paro's corner guy did a good job keeping it under wraps. But, mate, it was edge of your seat stuff. And hats off to both guys. I want to let everybody know that I'm going to be going live in a couple hours with Nick from Breaking Bad Boxing. I've had like 5 requests. He's kind of a new YouTuber. I think, you know, he's a subscriber on the channel. He's in our Discord. I know he started his boxing YouTube not too long ago, but I've watched some of his breakdowns. I just watched his breakdown of Kayatso, and he does really good work. So he's going to be on the channel with me in a couple hours. That link is already up on the channel. We're going to be talking about the Golden Boy card, Kayatso. We're going to be talking about Gabby Fundora. There's an OTX card, Brandon Moore, DeAndre Savage, I think. So there's a lot to talk about. Not the busiest of weekends, but guys, we're already up. We're already in the green. And I'm going to start seeing where your boys are at. Usyk, what's up, buddy? Big Shadow. I always go with Johnny's initial thoughts. Appreciate you, Shadow. Yeah, mate. Liam knockout, Paro decision were great. Good boy. Yeah, it says initial ones. And you know what, Big Shadow? God damn it. I got talked out of Liam Paro by decision again. God, you know what you guys have to start doing for me? I'm asking you, chat. Big Shadow, if you're listening. When we do these initial, like the beginning of the week, could somebody put in a comment section, start commenting, all right, here's Johnny's initial picks in case he flip-flops? Because I would have I hit everything on the money line, but I forgot that I took initially Paro by decision based off of everything that I studied. Him going up in weight, Papo being a veteran, never being beaten. And then I did a live stream, and then I saw the weigh-ins, and I saw Papo struggle to make weight, and I was like, oh, he's going to fade. But yeah, I'm glad that you listened to my initial thoughts. DJ Green in the house, what's up? David Eister, Crawford trying to bring Golovkin out of retirement. I don't think so, man. I think the media is trying to bring Golovkin out of retirement. You know what? I think as this sort of thing simmers down, Crawford and Canelo, I'm not quite sure Crawford wants to keep fighting. I don't think it's too shocking to think that Crawford might walk away at 38 years old. He's made a lot of money. He has he has a family. He's really active in their childhood. You always see him at his kids' sporting events. A couple of his boys are dominating. A couple of his girls are dominating. So, like, I wouldn't be shocked if Bud walks away. I mean, he's 38 years old. He's had a long career, man. He did everything the right way. Nothing ever was given to that dude. He had to earn everything in terms of belts and how he went about his business. I think Bud Crawford just put together one of the best careers, at least I've ever seen in since I was born. Crawford, what app you use to bet on Australian fights? PJ, you have to remember, mate, I'm from Australia. I live in Australia, so I use two apps. I use Sportsbet, and I use Bet365. I think Paro not ready for that weight class. Liam did look, well, you got to understand, I want to see Liam versus I want to see Paro. Now, he is going to be undersized. We'll see how he fills the weight class out. I wonder what he walked around at. I missed it. I put 50 on the decision. DJ Green, Paro also left his uppercut at home. Yeah, Paro didn't throw an uppercut. He didn't throw body work. You know what I didn't see a lot from Paro? See, there's a lot. This is why I think Liam will learn from this. He has a good camp, and he stayed locked in the entire time, which tells you that the kid is switched on. A lot of fighters that I've seen who have been injured like that in a fight, because that's not just a punch, guys. We have to remember that's an injury. Liam was fighting through an injury, a contusion to the eye socket, swelling. You can't see. It's his lead eye too, his jab side. So he's going to make adjustments. I wish he threw a lead hook too. I know southpaws aren't really famous as body punchers. You know what I mean? They love throwing their backhand. But Liam was just, when guys start headhunting, so you see, in my opinion, you can pick up on two different scenarios when a fighter starts headhunting. One, they're in their emotions. They're frustrated. They want to get their get back. They're rushing their work, and they're fighting emotionally. And then the other one is when they have their guy hurt and they want to get the guy out of there. But he didn't wobble Papo at all. It never looked like Papo was wobbled or on unstable legs. So I wish Liam would add a lead hook to his arsenal, because I love Liam Paro's foot feints. You know what I'm saying? I love, especially early on before the eye socket, he'd come foot feints, boom, and then he throws backhand. Why not foot feint, lead hook? And that's what I kept screaming. I'm like, bro, throw a lead hook, work the body. He didn't start working the body until, I think, the 11th round, but it was frustrating. Look, man, he showed me a lot being able to get that victory. That was a lot of adversity to overcome. Big Shadow, Bud dominates Ilya. Kiza B, Dana not going to let Ilya box. Big Shadow facts, but Ilya doesn't want to fight. Paro needs another tune-up fight. TJ in the house. Safe travels, big fella. Heard you're getting on a flight soon. Kiza B. Oh, TJ, I watched. I sent you a message in the Discord about DeAndre and Brandon Moore. Kiza Crawford said he don't even know who Ilya is. Yeah. Guys, I don't think that Crawford's going to fight Ilya Taporia. But you never know. There is a case for it. Money talks, right? Money talks. Bud's all about legacy. We know about Dana White with TKO Boxing and Sella Promotions. We know about the event 4th of July weekend at the White House next year. Conor McGregor, it seems the rumblings I'm hearing from the MMA space, Conor is going to potentially be on the card. There's a potential John Jones comeback on the card. And with Dana entering boxing officially, why not have MMA fights and boxing fights on that card? Could you imagine that card at the White House, Conor McGregor's return plus Bud versus Taporia in boxing? You never know. This is the world we live in. You never know. That would be pretty intense. Tiara Brown fights Saturday too. Yeah, Tiara Brown. We watched Tiara. Has Tiara fought since she came down here and beat Sky? Is this Tiara Brown's first fight since Sky? Yeah, so we got the card in Detroit. We got the Salida Promotions card in Detroit. Brandon Moore, Savage. We got Kayatso. Look, I was talking to there's a couple cards. I want to get to Kayatso in a second. Okay, so one of my boys online. If you don't follow, he's on Instagram. I'm not sure he's on YouTube, but his thread on Instagram is Thrill Boxing. His name's Mike. So Mike Thrill Boxing on Instagram. He's an American. He's kind of my like 24/7 news ticker of boxing, right? So a lot of, when I'm editing, when I'm doing live streams, I don't just keep up to date on the news of boxing, but he does. So I always check in on his account to see what's happening. And he put up a post yesterday about who's the greatest Mexican fighter of all time. And he lists the usual suspects, right? Salvador Sanchez, Canelo, Cesar Chavez. But he left out Ricardo Lopez. He left out El Finito. And I'm like, bro, and I DM'd him because he did a poll. I'm like, no shade here, but, I don't know if you're unaware of, one of the greatest Mexicans, in my opinion, of all time, retired 50-0 with one draw, Ricardo Lopez, El Finito. How do you talk about the best Mexican fighters without mentioning him? And then it kind of resonated with me. Even boxing minds who feel that they're not casuals, at least in America, I think they overlook the minimum weights. They overlook the small fighters. And one of those guys being overlooked right now, he only has 12, I think 13 pro fights, is Oscar Cayazzo. So I see guys talk about who are the best Puerto Rican fighters right now. They always say Xander Zayas, rightfully so. They always say, Subaru Matias. People don't say Oscar Cayazzo. It's like, do you know this dude? Oscar Cayazzo, man, great fighter. Great fighter. Great, how he operates in the lower divisions, in the power he has, in the aggression he has, and what he does. He kind of looks like, if you just watched Oscar Cayazzo box on a big screen, and you didn't know anything about him, you didn't know about weight classes, and you saw how he operated, you wouldn't think he weighed 105 pounds. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't. I guess my point is, it's not wise as a boxing fan to overlook a guy just because they're smaller. Some of my favorite fighters are under 122 pounds. Ruslan Abdaev on that Golden Boy card. Well, he's a good prospect. Who's Ruslan is fighting? She's fighting Emma Gongora, former kickboxer. William Hutchinson, Jeffers, Tiara Brown upset was money for her last fight. Yeah, did you guys think that Tiara Brown beat Sky? I was kind of shocked. It was a close fight. It was a close fight. I was just kind of shocked that they gave the decision to Tiara, all things considered. She came down here to Australia. She was the underdog. She wasn't the champion. She was the B-side. And they gave her the decision over Sky. Yeah, Kevin Johnson. So Ruslan Abdullayev, he's 2-0. Guys, Kevin Johnson, don't sleep. I'm not getting odds on that fight. And I'm not saying Kevin Johnson's going to win. But Kevin Johnson's a pro, I think around 20 pro fights. I think he's 12-7, so this will be his 20th pro fight. Kevin Johnson's never been stopped. He's a pro, man. If you've never seen Kevin Johnson box and you're gambling based off of these odds, I mean, I'm not getting options to bet on Kevin Johnson, but Kevin Johnson is a tough pro, man. People sleep on him. Never been stopped, 12-7, 8 knockouts. So lately in more recent memory, you know, Gabby Fundora, when she fights by knockout, but then usually Kevin Johnson, when he fights, the fight goes the distance, or whoever he's fighting to win by decision. Because, I mean, he's lost. Like, so there's a term in boxing. He's lost 4 in a row. He's lost to Baez, Davis, Isaiah Johnson, Eric Tudor, Joel Iriarte. He's lost 5 in a row. So he started out 12-2. Now he's 12-7. What does that tell you about Kevin Johnson? Starts out 12-2. Now he's 12-7. 7 losses, never been stopped. What that tells you is that, you know, never was really highly promoted by a promotional company. Always goes in as the B side. Puts his hand up whenever to fight. I'm not saying his career, and I'm not comparing his fight style to Emmanuel Augustus, but go to BoxRec and look at Emmanuel Augustus's record. I always use him as an example. When people talk about Emmanuel Augustus, they always talk about, you know, the drunken master, his style, how he fought against Floyd Mayweather. You know, I see some of Jaron Ennis's style in Emmanuel Augustus when you watch the tape. Ennis likes doing that little pause step, boom, boom, pause. He got that from Emmanuel Augustus. He didn't create that little pause step. But anyway, Augustus's record on BoxRec, disregarding how many close fights that should have went his way, is because he always was the B side, never was promoted, didn't have a promotional company. I don't even think he had a manager. So he was just one of these guys who would put his hand up, ultra talented in a different timeline, of boxing. If you would have had Emmanuel Augustus with a real promotional company, a real manager, a lot of these fights that he would have been the A side, his record would have looked a lot different. And so this is why we're talking about him. How often do you talk about a guy? Let's see what he retired at, his record. Yeah, Emmanuel Augustus retired with a record of 38 wins, 34 losses, and 6 draws. 6 draws! Of the 34 losses, he had got stopped 5 times. But how often, after a guy retires 20 years ago, do we even bring up a guy who has 34 losses? Do you know why we do that? Obviously because of his fan-friendly, unique, creative, fun style, but also because the storybooks and the narrative on fighters aren't always what the win-loss column says. It's one of those things. Do your own research. Kevin Johnson, to an extent, he's already he's in his early 30s now. He's kind of like in the same sort of cloth of the B-side always. I have a guy who's coming up. I need him to get rounds in. What's Kevin Johnson doing? Is he busy this weekend? That sort of thing. So they call him up. But as a good bet, if you could get that fight by decision, either the fight to go the distance or whoever he's fighting to win by decision, historically, that's a good KJ due for an upset soon. Yeah, man. So full disclosure, even against Eric Tudor, we were streaming that fight. You know, we had action. I don't know if you guys were following. I don't know if the bettors were following me during the Kevin Johnson Eric Tudor fight, because this would have been 7 months ago. But I've had my channel, and this is when I would be doing just the breakdowns, and I wouldn't tell you I was betting, but I was betting. And I sprinkled something. I always sprinkle a little bit on Johnson. Kayatso looks unstoppable, but I know that weight cut is killing him. Kayatso's a real deal, man. Olivia Curry on the money line or a draw. I'm tempted to play both. I think Ruslan stops Kevin Johnson. He'll be the first if he does it. KJ is plus 1,300. Ruslan is nice. I feel like Tiara Brown won for sure. Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to watch it again. TR Brown versus Sky was super close. I felt like that was a coin flip, especially on the points. I was there 7 months ago. All right, DJ, you were at that fight. Was that in Long Beach? Was that one of those fight Long Beach cards? Anybody see any upsets this weekend, boys? I'm going to go over the fights real quick. I'm going to go over what we're getting, what action we got. Let me know if you hit last night. Let me know, tip your bartender. So Olivia Curry, Kay Scott. Kay Scott's a 41-year-old pro from here in Australia. She has domestically, everybody knows the name Kay Scott. I don't expect Americans to know her name, but I heard on a couple podcasts they were talking about Olivia Curry versus Kay Scott, and the podcast I was listening to didn't know who she was, but people down here in Australia know who she is. I'll tell you why in a second. Commonwealth Games 9 years ago. Time flies. So Kevin Johnson going to lose is what you're saying? Yeah, but I don't think he's going to get stopped. Oh, yeah, DJ. That's what I figured. Yeah, I'm just saying, PJ, based on statistics and patterns of behavior, Kevin Johnson knows how to navigate a ring. I have to tape more on Ruslan Abdullayev. Anybody on this stream who's done tape on Ruslan, who also has watched Kevin, do you guys see Ruslan stopping Kevin Johnson? If TJ's still on this live, let me know, TJ. Julius says the Flamingo got the best ring walk. I don't know, Julius, man. I feel like I need to teach Flamingo some rhythm. I get the gimmick, and people love it down here, but it was kind of, to me, like we grew up dancing. Like he's too stiff. I want to see more. Like his timing was with the ring dance. But that's the Flamingo. That's Jacob NG. What thoughts goes out to Ricky Nato, man. Ricky Nato, 34 years old. It was well documented. He's a Japanese fighter. Came to Australia for a fight camp a couple years ago. Loved Australia. Ended up staying in the very first round. Was exiting off of was engaging in the pocket. Just a simple exit, and his Achilles blew. Achilles blew. I've never seen that in boxing. The Achilles is that injury that you see in basketball all the time, a non-impact injury. I think we saw it with Chauncey Billups, same sort of thing. We saw it with Kobe, same sort of thing. If you rewind the clock, even late 90s, I'm aging myself, Mark Price tore the Achilles, and we're seeing it more and more in basketball. And a lot of times, basketball is a sport played the entire time on your toes. You're always running. You're not really flat-footed. So there's a lot of pressure going in the calf. And, the calves are super developed. And if you're tight or if you're not warmed up or just if it's just, you're worn down, that Achilles, the cord going from your heel, anatomically, the heel is called your calcanea. So if you guys ever take an anatomy and physiology class and you're learning the body, the heel itself is called your calcanea. Now, the Achilles is attached to the heel and it runs up like a band into the calf. And when that gets tight, just backstop, boom, it blows. But we probably won't see Ricky Nato fighting again. That's probably a 34 career ender. I've never seen it in the boxing ring. Have you guys ever seen a boxer blow their Achilles? Bro, that was wild. Feet damn near fell. I know, man. It was hard to watch. Gamboa popped. Did Gamboa blow his against Tank? No shit. Good memory, Sam. Is Gorman on upset alert with Alamo? Maybe. I've heard a lot of the boys going heavy on Johan. I don't know if I'm going to bet on that fight because the odds aren't really that good. Are you guys loving the odds on... let's go over that. Alamo versus Gorham. Gorham's $1.16 versus Alamo. I mean, people love to bring up Alamo versus Liam Paro. He lost the split. He dropped Liam Paro in that fight. Alamo versus Hitchens. Alamo 22-4, mate. 5'8", only 30 years old. People talk about Johan Alamo like he's 58 years old. He's only 30. 60% knockout to win ratio. Gorham's 20-0. 16 knockouts. Okay, 24 years old. I think Gorham's gonna go in there and do his thing. This fight, this matchup is made so Bran could get that resume that Johan has. Yo, man, this dude, this dude that I just knocked out fought a world champion and barely lost a split decision. And he dropped that world champion. I'm talking about Johan versus Liam. And Bran goes in and stops him. Yeah, I stopped him in 3. What's up? Where's the belt at? You know what I'm saying? So this is for one of those, I think it's for one of those domestic belts. In America, Americans do like those North American regional belts, which sets you up for sort of the next level. The UK does their WBC silver belt, which kind of sets you up. And down here in Australia, we have like the Australasian belt, that sort of thing. So whatever sanctioning body, you have these set up regional belts where you fight based off the numbers. But definitely this is a showcase fight for Brian Gorman. Brian, how do you pronounce it? Is it Brian? 20-16, 80% knockout to win ratio. Tough kid, 5'8", orthodox, 24 years old. I mean, what's his best? This fight is made for Gorman to showcase what he does. Johan Alamo, could he win? Yeah. How much does he got left? How much does he want? Is he still motivated? I really thought Alamo was way older than 30. Jermaine Ortiz, a technician, fought him to decision. Tiger Johnson fought him to decision. What does that tell you? He got stopped against Hitchens. He took Paro 10 rounds. He went 10 with Ortiz, went 8 with Tiger. That shows you that he knows how to operate. It shows you he knows how to use the entire ring. I got to watch more tape on Gorman, to be honest with you. I just got to watch more tape on Gorman. Gabby Fundora has superstar potential. I think Gabby's already a superstar. I talk highly of Gabby Fundora. She's, boy or girl, she's one of my favorite fighters. Johnny, who's your top 10 favorite fighters to watch? Guy or girl? Gabby Fundora, I got to find somewhere to put her in my top 10. For me, that's how much I like watching her fight. I don't know how much of that has to do with me growing up in a household with 3 sisters who are all athletes. 2 of them were older than me. Watching my 2 older sisters dominated basketball and fast pitch. And then, using their success at sports, me to compete against them for my parents' admiration. So I grew up in a very athletic household. So also my father raised me as a young boy to respect girls, respect my sisters, respect my mom, respect every girlfriend sort of thing. So I like I like women's boxing, and especially the way Gabby fights, dude. Gabby fights like she's like that next level of female boxer who is technical. You don't see a lot of technicality in a lot of the female fights who are also seeking the knockout. Obviously, you don't see you mix that with her pedigree and her genetics and her youth. Dude, we're looking at she's what, 22? We're looking at a potential Hall of Famer at 22 years old. She quite possibly could have a whole nother decade depending on her own personal goals and what she wants to achieve in the sport. But I'm a fan. And, especially I'm a fan of like what she's doing in there. She's setting up punches. She sets up her backhand. She's front-footed, flat-footed, chin down, pow! Yeah, the way don't get it twisted. What was her name? Maya Bandillo? Maya Badillo was not a household name. But, Mexico sent Badillo in there with an undefeated record. And Gabby as of late just makes her opponents look levels below. Paro really disappointed me. Paro looked like his power isn't world level at 40. Paro looked like his power isn't world level at, you mean at 47? Yep. Abraham Nova, he never been the same. Okay. Is that girl Curry going to win? She's fighting a 6-1 fighter. Curry is fighting a popular Aussie fighter who had a great amateur career, was a Commonwealth gold medalist, I believe. Big girl. So Curry, I got to let you guys know. I mean, the one thing Kay Scott is super athletic, super fit. Don't let her age fool you. You're going to see that she's 41 years old, but she's a young 41. She's super active, super fit, super strong. Alamo arguably beat Tiger. Could 8-rounder. Alamo is not going to win. He's more like a gatekeeper. Clifton, no way Gamboa blew his Achilles and got stopped in the 12th. Yeah, if so, one of the most impressive. Yeah, guys, because if you blow your Achilles, you can't walk. The Achilles tendon is literally the bridge between being able to walk. It's not like a sprained ankle, a broken ankle, a torn ACL. I know guys, I've trained with guys who don't even have MCLs. I've trained, so ligaments in the knees. You have your ACL, PCL, MCL, LCL. So, like, you could tear ligaments in the knee and still walk. I know, like I said, the MCL, that could disintegrate. A lot of guys will fight their entire career, not boxers, but MMA fighters with no ligaments. An Achilles, bro. It's not, you don't tough out a torn Achilles. A torn Achilles is a functional injury, meaning that as soon as that tears, you have to get it restructured and attached through invasive surgery. So I never heard Gamboa blowing his Achilles out in a fight. Great call on Liam Wilson in the under. JP Farley, I got you, brother. I got you. Guys, I think because I expect always to go 100%, because if you take in, outcomes and effort, I put a lot of effort into this. So I'm never happy. Like, there's no way I've never once told any of my personal mates here that I do that. There's a lot of friends that I have in real life who don't even know that I predict boxing, by the way, which is insane. So I'm not leading a double life. They know I'm their boxing guy. They've been friends with me long enough. They know that since we were kids, boxing's my sport. But baseball was also my sport, and American football is my sport. Same thing with basketball. You know what I mean? So I can shoot the shit with all those sports as well. It's just that my point was, JP, because I'm not 100% and I'm normal. We have losses. I'm not happy. I'm not happy. I've never once sat back and be like, damn, dude, I know what I'm doing with picking these boxing matches. No. In my head, I'm like, I fucking suck, dude. I can't believe I picked Caleb to beat Resendez. I can't believe I picked Canelo to beat Bud. And more recent. That's where my mind's at. PJ Alamo is coming to get a check. GMS put on the elect. PJ was so... Guys, I'm never putting Tellez. If your last name has the name Tellez in it, if your name has the name Tellez in it, you're on my no-bet list. Yenis Tellez, Rene Guiron Tellez, no longer betting. I catch Trujillo knockout. My man, what did I tell you about Darren Gala Trujillo? Guys, could somebody give me the... So in the 1990s when I was a kid, well, actually early 90s, because I used to watch the WWF. And some of my favorite... I remember when Hunter Hearst Helmsley, Triple H, first came into the WWF, and his whole shtick, he was a royal, and he'd wear the robe, and his walkout song was the classical song Ode to Joy. So whenever Hunter Hearst Helmsley would come up, and he would come and do this. And I'm like, who is that? He was my favorite fighter. So yeah, picking Darren Gala Trujillo, me telling you guys about a kid that I've been watching since he was 16, and then him showing out and proving me right. Do you think Kayatso better perform? Yeah, Maniar. I totally expect Kayatso to come out and have a great performance. Clifton, hard for me to honestly say I have a female boxer in my top 10 to watch. Watch Clifton, I understand that. I'm not trying to... Dennis, yeah, I understand for sure. I understand why, too. This is a blood sport. Do you think Kayatsa will have a better performance than Paro? I mean, Liam Paro had to go life and death to get a decision in an IBF 147 title eliminator in a division he's never fought. Do I think Kayatsa is going to have to go life and death? I don't think so. Who's your favorite prospect of the year so far? It's a great question, Julius. It's a great question. There's a couple guys come to mind. Joshua Adams. Joshua Adams, mate. Joshua Edwards. Joshua Edwards, the American heavyweight, is one that just jumps off the paper for me. But there's that white kid who fights with he's the welterweight who used to train. He's only had about 6 pro fights. We've covered him on the channel. He was Israel Madrimov's training partner as an 18-year-old. I think he's 19 now. I'm sure the chat will remember his name. We've covered him on the channel twice. I think he's 6-0. He either trains with Garcia or Manny Robles. He's a fun prospect. If Goat's on the live stream, yeah, Mike Roth, yeah. There you go, boys. Thanks, chat. Griffiths. Caden Griffiths. Fun prospect, boys. And Joshua Edwards and Caden Griffiths for different reasons. Joshua Edwards made this kid stellar amateur Olympian, comes on the heavyweight scene and just, does exactly what he's supposed to do. With him, it's going to be like, how much do they want to expedite his career, considering the American heavyweight division obviously has a void. That's no shock, right? We need boxing loves heavyweights. We love marketable heavyweights. We love a young, crispy heavyweight like Joshua. Dude, if you don't know what I'm talking about, watch him. And Caden Griffiths for other reasons. I love the brutality. I love the aggression. I love the weight class he fights at. I love the idea that he was a teenager and his camp has had him the entire time. I love the fact that Israel Madrimov used him to help himself get ready for fights as a teen. So it just kind of shows you how locked in this teenager is in Caden Griffiths. And obviously, the question wasn't what prospects do I think are going to be Hall of Fame world champions. The question was like, who are my favorite prospects that I've seen? Those are kind of two that jump off the paper. There's a couple others though. There's the kid from the South in America. God, he's fighting soon too. I think he's a welterweight. Electric. I think he's a southpaw. We watched him on. I haven't looked into. Check out Josh Edwards. How does he match up versus Moses? I'd rather not yet. I need to see. Moses is there's a gap. There's a gap in terms of there's a gap in terms of pro experience between Moses and Josh, and you can't rush that. So give Josh a couple years. I want to see Moses and Justice Hooney. That I'm like I said, if I could make things happen in boxing based off of trajectory, hype, where people think each guy is going in their careers, if Moses is real deal, let me see how he handles Justice. So that's what I want to see Moses. I want to see how Moses actually deals with another athletic, tall, big heavyweight who could box. People sleep on Justice. I'm still high on Justice. I'm still not going to throw him out. I think Justice Hooney is that dude. So I'd like to see Justice versus Moses. But there's a kid, I think his last name starts with a V. From the South, southpaw, American. He's on an upcoming card. He either fights on those OTX cards or he fights on those random... How would we even look this up? Is there such a site that you could look up top 25 American prospects? He's a welterweight. I think his name has a V in it. He kind of and he's electric, mate. We watched him fight. He might be Scooter Davis, Ruzam Dive are my favorite prospects. Fair enough. Not Villarreal. Shit. We covered the kid on the fight like 3 months ago. Moses Hooney, Fight Boys, that'd be sick. Vic, man, that's what I just said, bro. Guys, make sure you put a thumbs up. Valsant. Mar. Swindle. Thank you. Valsant. I think he's fighting soon. I want to see more of him. We covered Valsant a couple months ago. There's a lot to like about Valsant. Guys, 45 people in the chat, 10 people liking the video. What are you guys doing to me, dude? Like, I give you everything. I give you guys everything. You can't give me a thumbs up. You're making me beg. Let's see. Let's see what we got. Darrell Valsant. So he's 13-0, 11 knockouts. He's a 6'1" southpaw, 23 years old. 13-0, 11 knockouts. Mate, that division. So he's a 154, ranked 33. So yeah, he doesn't have any. I thought he had something on paper. He doesn't have anything on paper. He does need. The thing about Valsant is, and this is what you see with a lot of young, aggressive punchers, is that they're just so excited to get to the finish line. It's kind of like, you want to see him. You want to see him add tools to his game without him getting hurt. Sometimes with these young big punchers who are fun prospects, a lot, like, think about what they did with Lubin. When, Lubin was similar. You could talk everything I'm saying about Valsant, you could say about Lubin before the Charlo fight. And they pushed this 21-year-old, highly touted amateur, fun electric prospect as a 21-year-old into the Charlo fight. And we saw what happened then. But so my point is, and Lubin had to learn through that brutal loss. Lubin had to rebuild his career at a young age. The thing about why you don't want to rush talented prospects, that you feel that they have what it takes to become a world champion, isn't always you don't want them to lose. What you don't want to do is put a 21-year-old kid in there and have him have a crushing loss and rely on him to psychologically build himself back up, because that's when you start. Not everybody could do that. Not every 21, 22-year-old kid who storied amateur, never lost before, all of a sudden they lose or they get knocked out. Physically, they're going to be fine. Not every 21, 22-year-old is able to psychologically rebuild. And it's something that nobody really talks about with Lubin that he had to do. Lubin has done that. He had to do that against Charlo. The Fundora fight, the damage on his face, even though it looked awful and we know that fight got stopped, Lubin was coming back in that fight. Lubin was turning it on in that fight. Once again, damage, fight gets stopped, had to rebuild himself again. And now you got him. Now he has the opportunity that he's fought for his entire career coming up with Seb. So, like, my point is, Valsant, it's going to be interesting how they manage his career. I don't know who manages him, but he's a guy. So Joshua Edwards, Valsant, Caden Griffiths, these are three fun prospects. My favorite UK, Taylor Bevan, Mike Ross, nice call. Kiza, the best UK. Giorgio Vasoli is fighting on the same card. They just announced Kiza. Vasoli is fighting on the same card coming up in America, right? With another fan favorite young kid. His mother just passed away. I should remember his name. He's on the Boots card. Dave Allen fights again. Yep. Giorgio is fired for sure. Zach Wynn Moses. Yep, that's Shakur's. So that's Shakur's cousin. Look, there's a lot of them out there. Joseph Brown, fun prospect. He's a teenager. There's a lot of there's a lot of young American prospects, a lot of Brits. Unfortunately, the amateur scene here in Australia isn't as rich, especially the Australian media. They don't get behind their amateurs here in boxing. We have an amateur on our channel. Whenever you guys see Cain, Cain, he's a VIP. He's an 18-year-old amateur here in Australia. He's getting ready for the some big tournament at the end of the month. He's in training camp. Giorgio's hands down a sniper. Zaquan is special, fights like Shakur. Kiza, yeah, I love watching Vasoli fight. He's so slick, used to kickbox. That's where that footwork comes from. Vickman, he's a beast. Clifton, I don't believe Lubin beat Ortiz. I also thought Lubin lost to Ramos. You don't believe Lubin? Oh, yeah. Okay. Beat Ortiz. Well, all you can do with Lubin is talk about moving forward what he's going to do. Carmel Moten is a prospect. Zaquin sounds like Shakur. How do you think Crocker fares again? Paro last fight. I think that if Lewis Crocker fights how he fought against Donovan, he loses to Liam. You can't just one and done pot shot. But then again, I mean, that's exactly what, I don't know, I'd have to sit with it, Jay, because me saying that out loud, that's exactly what David Papo was doing, and he almost won. So I have to sit with it. The good news about if Paro does get the Crocker fight, Crocker's not the biggest guy at 47 either. Papo is massive. Papo looked like he was 2 divisions above Paro. Steven Navarro didn't impress me much on his last fight. Needs a jab. Moten is wicked fast. Agree. Jason Jr., Jersey Duval, Johnny. Who's in it? Yo, Johnny, are we seeing a stoppage or decision for Fundora? What's up, Boxing Bet 79? So I'm looking at the odds with Gabby, and you guys know where I stand when Gabby fights, right? I always take Gabby by knockout. I'm just being as transparent as I can be with you guys. We're already up for the week. We've done our job, right? We hit last night. We hit with some method of victories. I gave you guys Liam Wilson by knockout. I gave you Liam Wilson and the under. We hit on the 6-leg parlay. So we're already up. So that being said, I'm not going into the weekend needing to win. I'm not forcing anything. But, you know, what Gabby's 16-0 with 8 stoppages. She's $1.04 on the money line. Gabby winning by knockout is the smart bet. It's at $1.34. But my point is, give me a second. To answer your question, Gabby by knockout for me is always the play. But everything I just said, she's fighting a girl, Alexis Kubicki, 13-1. It's a 10-rounder. It's a world title fight. Kubicki's ranked number 4 in the world at flyweight. She's never been stopped. I'm thinking about rolling the dice. Just based on the odds. Just so you guys know, my pick with Gabby is always by knockout. But that being said, the odds, you could get Fundora by decision at plus 400. So if I jump the gun on this, I'm going to watch a little bit more of Kubicki. I want to see her punch stats. I want to see her output. Because the second Fundora thinks that she has you, is from like the 3rd round on, she's pushing for the knockout. I want to see how Kubicki handles pressure. I'm going to try to find tape on the loss that she has. That was a couple years ago. But $1.34, I mean, is it worth the risk to put $1.34 by knockout? That's my logical bet. But is the juice worth the squeeze betting on a girl fight, even though it is Gabby, when you're only getting $1.34 back? So Gabby on points is $3.50. So this might be one of those just plays that I make. Disregard the read. The read is Gabby by knockout, but the play, I think, is Gabby on points. You know what I'm saying? Because we don't have a lot of great action. So what I might do is do a little sneaky 2-legger or just go heavy Gabby on points. You know, take the winnings I hit last night at my 2-1. Because, you know, just for you, you know, non-mathematicians, 100 on Gabby on points gets you your money back plus $250. 1,000 Gabby on points gets you your money back plus 2,500. These rounds are only 2 minutes. What do you guys think of Gabby on points? Even though you guys know I always take Gabby by stoppage, but over the last few fights, we were getting Gabby by stoppage at $1.85, $1.90. I think the bettors and the bookies caught on to that, and now she's at $1.35. Initial thoughts. God damn it. 100%. Okay, maybe the play would then be... All right, hold on. See, this is what I'm learning from you boys. Mike Ross. This is what I'm learning through you boys. Mike Ross presents a valuable point. You don't just have to take Gabby by knockout. You could go Gabby knockout in the under. We did this with Brian Norman against Jin Sasaki. We did Brian Norman by knockout in under 6, and we hit plus 540. Good call. So let's see. Gabby. I'm not round betting. Will the fight go the distance? No. Gabby. I'm not getting Gabby to win in round 4. I'm getting specific margins, but they're not giving me an over under 6. Are you guys getting an over and under for Fundora of rounds? Because I'm not. I'm either getting a specific margin, like rounds 9 to 10, rounds 7 to 8, but I'm not getting an over and under 6, because I would play that. If I could get odds Gabby Fundora under 6, I would take that. Under 7.5, I would take that. I would take under 7.5. But what's it paying, Fresh? DJ, I seen Alexis Kubicki fight. She's going to be walking right into Gabby's punches. You flip. Guys, I'm just posing questions here. I'm not flip-flopping. Nothing's in paper. We're just trying to be archaeologists. We're trying to find stuff, right? We're digging. All you guys, the chat, me, we're out in some little, like, desolate land in a part of the world nobody's ever heard of, and we got our equipment with us. There's sand everywhere, so we got these goggles on. We got the little foil rakes with the mesh wiring, and we got our tools. And we're looking for artifact. We're looking for, like, dinosaur bones. You know what I'm saying? So we're archaeologists digging, trying to find it. So I'm not flip-flopping. It's not in stone yet. We're just trying to find the proper bet. Yuga Ozaki and Keith Colon are nice prospects too. Mar, I'm going to have to ask you again and put those in my notes. Fresh BX 7.5. Fresh BX plus money close to even. It's close to even. Okay. Is that the play, Fresh? Maybe that if it's close to even, that's probably the play. Money Meats checking in. You're probably my favorite check-in. DJ, we're California gold diggers. So DJ, maybe that's the play. The 7.5. Because $1.37 is not enough, man. That's almost like that's the bookies. They're kind of messing with us. Like you look at the bookies, you're like $1.30 on a knockout. She got 20 minutes to work. It's like, get out my face. You know what I'm saying? So we'll come to our proper conclusion in a second. Guys, it is 8 a.m. my time Friday morning. If you know who Nick from Breaking Bad Boxing, he's new on the scene. He's a subscriber on our channel. He's in the Discord. He does really good breakdowns. I just watched his Oscar Kayato breakdown. Over the last month, you guys have asked me to go live with him. So I'm bringing Nick on from Breaking Bad Boxing in 3 hours. So that live stream is already up. Make sure you hit bell notification buttons. I'll put the link and tell all the Discordians about it. If you haven't joined the Discord, the link is pinned here in the comment section. It's a couple bucks a month. We also have I think there's UFC this weekend. There's the NFL. I put a sneaky money line bet on the NFL today. Just a little sprinkle action. So if you want to get all that work, join the Discord. We're an hour in. We got 50 people now popping. So it's bigger than I thought it would be on a Friday morning. You guys are what makes this thing cruising along. We're growing. I appreciate everybody. All the